You are not ready. Hit it! Oh my gosh! That's the sound of the critics. Shh, nothing. Quiet. Can you believe that? Listen to that stinger, that intro opening up the show in a new way. We've got ourselves a theme song, baby! That was made by my cousin Liam, or Lemonverse. You can find him on Spotify or SoundCloud and some other places. He just makes magic. He's like just some little wizard. I don't know how he does it, but he's just laying down these sour tracks, and that's a good thing. Lemonverse, find him any way you want. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, because, oh, yeah, it just feels good. Just inject that right into my soul. Man, we're coming around now. You start putting on some sun protection for them UV rays, because the sun is shining on this podcast. The future is bright, baby. We're coming around. It's feeling really good. It's just feel like it's all coming together. I'm really loving the name. The problem is with Full Circus, there's not a problem with it. I'm not changing the name. Don't worry. But the problem is I feel like I'm too creative sometimes. And that was why it was so hard for me to set on a name for something like that. It's like, yeah, like I think I'm a very decisive person. Or am I? No, I'm joking. But yeah, I'm pretty good about knowing what I want and what I do. And I hear it. So I hear a name, like when naming something, it's like naming a child. Or anything, or a dog, if you don't like kids. Yeah, so I come up with these great names. I'm like, yeah, that's it, that's the one. And then that's the banger, and I'm like, oh, dang, I just thought of a new, better one. So the problem is, like, my mind is just always coming up with these amazing just ideas. It's like hard to stop it. So I was kind of like, Full Circus kind of had it was an original saying, it was an original thing, came from me, it was Circus, it was crazy, it just felt like it kind of fit, and I'm loving it. But the problem is, I do think of stuff, and they still come around all the time. I hear the word funky, and I'm like, oh, well, that could be a cool name. I'm like, no, stop it. I'm like, oh, what about dapper, like a gentleman, and then like the logo's a top hat? That'd be so cool. And they're like, no. So I gotta remember to kind of halt myself and stay grounded in my own, not be so creative, I guess. I guess that's the problem. They say too much talent can be a bad thing, so it is what it is. It can be hard, and I guess that's my burden to bear. But also with the podcast, I'm really liking. A big thing with this is kind of, it's a journey, right? We're gonna go along this thing together. I'm working on finding my comedic voice. I thought it was something that you would just solve in like a second. And that's why it took a little bit of a long time. And I did some more research, some deep diving. You come to realize that, like, oh no, that's a comedian's journey to go through a long trail of that. I'm like, okay, well, we can't wait forever. So, sometimes it might get darker. Sometimes it might be whatever. Like, I know the Predator jokes in the last episode are pretty dark, but they were also, I was trying to like root something in. Like that's a true fear for mine. And still is in a way. I'll tell you, there's a good story. I'll save it for Halloween. It's scary. Where I was actually, I may or may not have almost been abducted at like 19. But it's teaser. It's March. I feel like we're gonna wait till Halloween for that. Yep. You know what? I start these teasers off early. But yeah. So I was kind of rooting that in a true fear of mine, trying to spin it in something. But I know it can be tricky and dark and whatever. It's learning, right? You gotta learn and find yourself, and you just gotta, sometimes it's a hit or miss, and some people like it, some people don't. It's just kind of weird. You don't know where it's at. It's kind of like when you walk behind somebody and they're trying to open a door. And it's a push door, and they're just sitting there just pulling and tugging. This happened to me today. It's the reason I'm bringing it up. This guy's just sitting, and they're just pulling on the door, like just trying to pull on it, and then it's a push door because I walked through the door, I pulled it to get open, so now I'm on the inside. I know I need to push to get out. But you don't want to say anything because you kind of want to let them find their own path, right? It's kind of like letting a bird fall, and spread its wings and do its own thing. So I'm sitting behind this guy. And this kind of people need to sit behind me and discovering myself. And you can't, yes, I could tell the guy, and I could just say, hey, just push the door. It's a push door, dude. Quit yanking on the thing. It's not gonna go anywhere. But I gotta let him go through his own struggles and his own battles and kind of find his own path here. And it's a journey of self-growth, and I think that was very nurturing of me to do that. Because yeah, I could have told him how to do it, but he figured it out on his own, and I think he's a better man for out in the world for doing that. And that's kind of, I think that's how this podcast is gonna be. It's gonna go ups and daisies and side to side. You go up, I go down. You go up, I go left. And you're like, wait, what? But we're kind of finding our own place. But anyways, yeah, teaser up that Halloween story. That'll be good. So it's a big thing. We're learning here, and it's gonna be good. Not saying the bad learnings are bad, like the jokes might be dark. I'm just saying if it's not everyone's cup of tea, you never know. I mean, I guess you're never really gonna please anybody to begin with, but it's a journey. It's a journey I welcome and I bring head on. I'm ready for it. But I guess the best way to just introduce yourself is kind of just bring in, like, hi, my name's Tristan Sartoris. And what they do in those like groups, like, oh, tell us like 3 things about you. You ever get nervous doing that? Yeah, tell me 3 interesting things about me. Like, dang, 3 interesting things about me? Like, what are these people going to think is interesting? You never know. And you got to read the room too. You got to know where you are. Like, if you're like a big meat eater, like, yeah, hi, my name's Dale. I run a barbecue restaurant, and it's a vegan group. You're like, oh, crucify him. So they're probably going to take you down, Dale. You can't be doing stuff like that. Yeah. So a vegan group, man, that's shady stuff. That's a bad business you want to be in the first place. That's a recipe for disaster. I couldn't do it. Truthfully, I'm being honest. I feel like I've got a lot of self-control here, but I couldn't do it. I could never bring myself to be a part of a vegan group. No, I mean, I don't think I could give up meat. It's hard, man. It's hard. Like, bacon is a thing, dude. Bacon? Just think about that, right? I think even vegans, vegetarians, everybody loves bacon secretly. Like, even deep down, if they're going to say, meat is murder, meat is, you got to be, like, ripping off a couple little slivers of them sizzling strips. Everyone loves bacon, man. I could never do it. I would come back, and I could never be part of a vegan group, mostly because I couldn't do that, and also I'm a bad liar. So I would walk in, and they'd be like, hey, how was your weekend? And I was like, yeah, it's been pretty good. And like, all right. So I'm like, I'm lying. I've touched bacon. I'm sorry. I couldn't do it, man. I just look at my paws. They're just greasy shame. Just, that sizzling hog dragon, baby. I could never stay off that bacon. I never could. And I wouldn't be able to lie about it. And they would be able to tell it. They could probably smell it. And I'd have it in my backpack when I show up to the place. Not that I have it on me now, but I just couldn't do it. I need that bacon therapy, man. Oh my gosh. Oof, man, I just got bacon on my head right now. Head of hog, baby. H-O-H, son. Yeah, it's just good. Bacon, I feel like I think we are about that bacon a lot. We really are. I mean, we're the first country, I have to assume, that stuck bacon in a blender, and we got these freaking bacon milkshakes. And I think progress requires bold movements in the world, right? That's why we got a man on the moon. It's the same personality traits of the people who put bacon in a blender. That's the same kind of crazy that we're built on here. And I would say they're equally as monumental in our history as putting the two together. And yeah, sure, we're going to be a little bit fatter, but we put a man on the moon. There's no gravity up there. We don't got to worry about that. That's the reason we went up to space in the first place, was so we could eat more bacon without the consequences. What was I saying? Yeah, so the best way to introduce yourself is really just going to those 3 things, and it's you got to read the room. But as far as this is my show, it's my room. Okay, I get to do whatever I want, and I'll say this. So, hi, my name is Tristan Sartoris the First. I was voted most athletic in my high school. That's a pretty interesting fact. That's one you can probably throw around in most if you had that. Not a lot of people are as accomplished as that, so I don't know if you can use that. 2, I was homeschooled, and 3, I love pizza. So that's kind of my 3 I like to just go into. I like that it's a little joke for you. But, when I would used to tell people I was homeschooled, they'd be like, wow, that's so interesting. And it was super weird. Like, the homeschool kids are the weird kids of the bunch. And we are. It's a strange kind of thing, especially if you're not used to it. You have certain privileges, like I don't got to miss the bus. I just wake up and walk straight to my kitchen. I'm just sitting there making cereal in the middle of math class. And I'm like, yeah, it's nice. It's a good morning. It's easy to go to. But there was other things, like I'd hear other kids flunk their test. Like, oh man, I screwed up on this test so bad. And you get your papers back and like, oh, I'm just going to throw it away. I'm not going to show my parents. I'm going to hide it. I didn't have that opportunity because my mom was the one grading my paper, right? So I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, just shake it around and be like, this isn't true. They're just like, yeah, you did fail. But, you go and do better. Or there were certain ways for me, they're like, oh, how about you go and mow that lawn? Maybe I'll bump this 86 up just a little bit, give you a little curve, take care of your chores. How about that? So it was weird, man. Like I said, there's always going to be some weirdos. There's always going to be someone weirder than you. And you can take comfort in that. Like, so we were doing homeschooling for a lot, like, religious reasons and Christianity and stuff like that. And that's weird to people in a lot of, like, traditional sense. People are like, well, your parents are teaching you stuff and you're old and whatever. But so, yeah, we felt nowhere to us because we looked over at, like, people like the Mormons who were doing homeschool. We're like, oh, whoa, they're so odd. Like, they can only play basketball on half court and they're not allowed to go swimming. Like, what? These guys are weirder than us. Aren't these guys are crazy, man? So, like, no matter how weird you are, there's always someone weirder. Come to think, I still don't know why they can't play full court basketball. It's such a weird, I don't know a lot about the Bible, but I assume it doesn't say in there's like, thou shalt not play on the east side in the devil's territories on the east side, draining threes. You stick to half court, boy. Also the swimming thing is weird. I guess I don't know what it's about. I'm not gonna pretend to know. All right, they got their own things. I don't know. But the basketball one's funny. What else is going on, man? What else is going on with me? I mentioned last episode that, for whatever reason, I see a lot of fire trucks and policemen. Everyone's rushing around like it's a safe area. It really is. I don't mean to flex my amazing bubble on you, but yeah, there's just not a lot of. There's no crime. There's not a lot. Anything you don't really see a lot going on here. But for whatever reason, I see and hear about so many like places burning down. Now, you could say this is arson. We don't know, but it was just something I realized today. I was looking around at this Wendy's had just been built back up because it just got burnt down recently. And I was like, dang, this is kind of crazy. Like, how many things are just always burning down? And I got a conspiracy theory, I'm going to say that it's arson. Arson. And I said I wasn't going to joke about, like, I think arson's it's not too dark. It's pretty okay. Fire's natural. Fire's okay. But I don't know. I don't know why it's happening. No one does. And we need some detectives on the case. There could be anything going around. It could be, I think a lot of times it just gets blamed on like a gas leak or something. A gas leak again. No, I deny that. There's something more sinister going on here. Or I have no idea. I'll have to go next time it happens because it feels like it does happen pretty often. I'll go and analyze the remains, right? Maybe I'll find some small little teepees and A-frame circle. Maybe it's a couple of Cub Scouts just trying to practice their fires, just their little wood, their little camping badges they're trying to earn, and they just happen to keep burning down these mini marts. And yeah, you look around, you see like little just knots tied around, because that's all they do everywhere is just leave knots tied. Look at all these cool knots I'm doing, fisherman's knots, all that jazz. You ever met a Cub Scout? That's all they like to tell you about. I remember back when I was in school, before the homeschool, that there was just like all these Cub Scouts, and they would walk in and just be like, oh man, I learned so many knots, and they just love to tell you about how many knots they can tie. I don't know what the big deal is about it. It's like, oh man, I can tie 6 knots. Well, that's great, Roger. You're doing great, buddy. And then Jake's like, I could tie 8 knots. You're like, wow, good for you, man. And then Dennis is like, I could tie 12 knots. You're like, okay, all right, let's relax, Dennis. Stay in the single digits. It's a bit, no one likes to show off, okay? You're probably going to burn down to Wendy's. But I don't like that kind of vibe. And that's just kind of what they do. I don't know what the deal is. I remember them always talking about knots. And I was like, dang, I just barely learned to tie my shoes at this point. So, man, I don't know. Also, we shouldn't be teaching kids how to make fires. Kids? Fire? We shouldn't be teaching anybody fire, dude. I mean, I don't know. I'm not an expert, but I feel like fire can be pretty dangerous. Case in point, all these places burning down. If it is arson, conspiracy, we don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, even if you could go back and look at the wise men say, build a man a fire and he'll be warm for a day. Teach a man to build a fire and he'll burn down a Wendy's. It's like he'll become an arsonist. It's dangerous. You can't be fooling around with that kind of stuff. It's too powerful. And the problem is that arson is such a stealthy crime in a way. I mean, no, it burns bright and all, but it burns so many, the DNA, everything's burning away. How do you get the evidence out of there? I think arson is probably one of the last crimes that you can really do safely, or not safely, but and do and get away with. And that's probably why there's not a lot of crime in the first place. Maybe that's why. But you have security cameras. We've got DNA and stuff like that. You're not going to go in there and steal someone's TV or get caught on. There's too much. There's too much risk these days. But arson, you light a match, boom, boom, tie a quick little hitch knot or something and jet out. There's no evidence. But everything else, you're going to get caught on camera. You're going to do whatever. Crime is a dying industry, specifically murder. Got him. Sorry, I don't know why things get dark. But anyways, it is really hard. And you talk about all these master criminals from back in the day or whatever. There's no way they're going to pull off that kind of stuff in these days. There's too much. No way. These guys could not be doing it. Or girls. I didn't mean to exclude. I don't mean to imply that girls can't be horrible people either. Imagine someone making that argument. Yeah, these guys just suck. It's like, hey, girls are horrible people too. I'm like, sure, awesome. But also, there's a lot of DNA with girls. There's a lot of hair, and I mean, I guess if a guy has long hair, but blah 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 blah. There's a lot of DNA. There's more DNA, you'd argue, that goes with it. So it's rough. It's rough out there. And I'm going to say it out loud, just, for everybody in the back, everyone is equally as trash as each other. We're all garbage. So anyways, I don't really have any more arson jokes. What else have I been up to? Oh, you know what I do? I watch a lot of transformation videos. I'm working on my segues. Yes, I'm working on a lot of transformation videos. And you watch people like My 600-Pound Life or whatever. And at first, it's because you kind of feel bad for these people and you see them continuing to get better. Oh my gosh, that's great. That's great. It's amazing. He's doing great. He's getting better. He's getting thinner. He's getting healthier. Everything's going great. And then all of a sudden, they kind of get to where I'm at. And then they pass me up and I have to stop watching because then I start to feel bad about myself. Because I'm like, oh, dang, now these people I don't want to watch a bunch of people that are better than me. I'll watch it's a skateboard, my 1-year skateboard transformation, and they can barely ride the board. I'm like, haha, yeah, I'm better than this guy. I'm freaking crushing it. And look at this guy, and then I'm still proud of the guy. I can look at him and be like, yo, there he goes. He's getting better. It's again, like I did the guy with the door. I'm a nurturing spirit, and I watch this guy kind of skateboard, and all of a sudden he starts doing kick flips, and I gotta shut it off because I don't like feeling inadequate, but. It's hard. I would like to watch the whole video one day, but I think I just got to master too many different skills before I can. Because I'm like, oh yeah. I think you watch it. I think the hard part is that it starts off with a sense of pride. Because it's like, oh yeah, wow, this is, I feel like I'm doing pretty good because I'm not at the beginner stage right now. And then all of a sudden I'm like, well, maybe I am compared to this guy because he's just freaking crushing it now. But, again, good for him. Still proud. I'm a nurturing guy. Nurturing spirit. Anyways, I don't know. We're getting close to the end. I need to work on maybe slowing my speech down, or just diving deeper into the bits that I have. I don't know, but we are getting close to the end. I just feel like I need one more joke or one more thing to talk about. But I just need to think about. Well, I write down so many things. I'm like, oh yeah, that'll be cool. That'll be a good idea to talk about, and we'll go to there. And then I just blow right through it. And I'm like, well, now what am I gonna say? Oh, I shaved. I shaved, dude. It was amazing. It's like seeing an old friend for the first time. You're like, dang, and we're like kind of trying to hug them in the mirror, but it's just not working. It was great. It was great for the time being. I gotta say, the beard kept me warm for a long time. I had it. It came up with a lot of thoughts. Like I said before, it's like connecting some sort of long, endless loop of follicles. And it's they call it like a pondering grizzly in some cultures. I've never been there, but I've read about it. And it was great. It was great. It did everything I needed it to do. But it's hard. It's hard to say goodbye. It really is. It's like something you get so attached to for 3 months. You get so used to just scratching it. But now I'll leave less DNA around when I don't commit crimes. See that? I covered my tracks. You can't use that against me. Yeah, it's really different. It's really different. I've never had, I guess it's kind of similar to a haircut, but you don't cut all your hair off. Like I didn't just trim the beard. I went all back in. You go from lumberjack to little kid and like that. So you learn a lot. You learn a lot by having a beard and realizing that you don't really like it. Like you don't need it. It's just not me, but it's cool. It's cool. It was nice. It was a good experience. This is 100% about to be a shorter episode. I can tell because now I'm just rambling about facial hair. And that's what happens. As soon as you get to that point when you start, like that one guy in the, at the party who just starts talking about facial hair, he's kind of just, he used all his icebreakers. He's all done. He's out of conversation. He's ready to go home. That's kind of where I'm at right now. So I will say thank you so much for listening and tune in. Thank you again to Liam, Lemonverse. Go listen to his stuff for the amazing stinger intro. I would just want just an 8-minute version of that, just like kind of like Freebird, but just endless, just endless. I just want to listen to it. I just want to marinate in it. But thank you guys. Thank you so much for listening. This has been episode 3 of Full Circus. Full Circus. Yeah. Thanks for coming along. Hope you guys smile. Hope you guys have a great day, great Friday morning or afternoon or night or whenever you're listening to this. All right. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you in the next episode. Episode 4 coming out next Friday because it's a weekly thing. I just didn't need to be said. Okay. I'm out.